Hey there, welcome. Welcome to Rise and Receive. This is an opportunity in your day to stop whatever you're doing, take a break, take a pause, and explore how to receive your fulfillment by unlearning struggle. So today we're going to talk about guilt. And the title specifically is How to Release the Guilt That Blocks You from Receiving What You Want. Now, guilt is a very common human experience. And if you feel guilty about something, or if you know that there are things that trigger a sense of guilt or the feelings of guilt, and in particular, if you feel like you have trouble releasing it, what I want to just shed a little bit of light on before we get started is we're not just going to talk about what guilt is, but also that guilt actually blocks you from receiving what you most want in life. And so we're going to explore that today. And if that resonates for you, then I invite you to sit back and just receive what today has to offer. If you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and best-selling author, and I show hardworking, goal-oriented people the blind spots that keep them from receiving their long overdue rewards. And the way that I do this is I teach the very distinct, simple, yet powerful skill set that I call receiving. Because if there's one thing that I've learned after 20 plus years of coaching is that hardworking, goal-oriented people have the skill set of working hard. And they use a lot of mental energy, a lot of research, a lot of figuring out, and a lot of action. And yet, we can work hard and still not achieve our goals and dreams. Sometimes we do, but only after a tremendous amount of hard work. Hey, Ruth. Good to see you here. So when you open up to this other equally important skill set, which is receiving, then you can tap into how to stop the hard work and receive what you've been working so hard for. But many hardworking, goal-oriented people are not familiar with receiving. So that's what we do. And I do this here at Rise and Receive. One of the ways that I do this is by illuminating blind spots. So I define a blind spot as when your current point of view hides an essential insight. And your insight, your perspective, your point of view is everything, because in my world and everything that I live by, coach, and teach around, your consciousness creates your reality. So your point of view says a lot about what is going on in your consciousness, in your inner world. That's where there's so much power that remains untapped when you over-rely on hard work. Now, a receiving blind spot occurs when you're operating more as a human doing hard work versus a human being, which is simply about being a human being. So we all call ourselves human beings, but a lot of people don't understand that actually the being model of power, or the being skill set, which is all about receiving, is one of the most useful and productive things you can access if you know how to tap into that. So that's what we're going to do today, specifically around how guilt can block you from receiving. So let's talk a little bit first about the blind spot. In this Rise and Receive, what I want to talk about is what I call the fullness blind spot. Never talked about this one before. The fullness blind spot. So what does that mean? Well, what this means is if you start to think of yourself in a completely different way, we're going to talk about guilt from a really different point of view than a lot of people do, okay? If instead of thinking of yourself as a human doing or somebody who makes things happen, I'd like you to think of yourself as a space. You are a space. You're a space in which you receive all day long. You're a human being. You're a life form, just like the majestic tree. The majestic tree is a tree if you look at it in the physical world, but what's actually occurring is that it receives all day long. So it's the embodiment of a space in which it receives sun and water and earth and minerals and nutrition and all kinds of things. And it receives animals and humans. Now, the metaphor might be a little bit of a stretch because you think, well, a tree is a tree. It's not a space, okay? But it is receiving, and it's in the receiving that it remains open, spacious, and receptive all day long. It doesn't stop what it's receiving. It doesn't stop the wind. It doesn't stop the rain when it's too much. It doesn't battle with like the birds that poop on it. There's none of this fighting, resisting energy. It's always open. You can imagine the branches. And so that's the symbolism for spaciousness. So what that means is receiving is never a question of how do I receive? How do I receive what I want? It's actually more a question of what am I receiving? Because as a human being, as a life form, you're receiving things all day. You're just not aware of it. And awareness is the key to everything with receiving. That's part of your point of view and your consciousness. As you become more aware of what you're receiving in any given moment, you can either choose to let it move on through and receive the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, which opens you up to flow and abundance and the kindness of life. Or you can remain in a stuck sort of a state where you're fighting and resisting what is. All right, so if you are a space, then the fullness blind spot points to when the space that you are is full of something. And we become full of something, again, when we battle or resist it. Okay, we get up in our minds, just like a human doing, and we problem solve and figure it out and problem solve and figure it out and problem solve and figure it out. So what is in your awareness? Problems, figuring out. And that's what's filling up the space of your awareness. But when you learn to become aware and stop the figuring out and let it be here, and it can move on through, you've just now opened up the flow gates. Okay, so what does this have to do with guilt? Okay, this is the idea. We're shifting from being full, when you're unaware being full, to being spacious. Being spacious. So I'm actually going to introduce the card that inspired this message today, and then we're going to do a little bit more of a dive into guilt. All right, so today's card is Be Spacious. And this illuminates one of the main principles of receiving from the Receive Oracle card deck. So let me just read you the mantra, and this will kind of lay the groundwork. I am willing to discover the manifesting power of caring for my space. I am willing to discover the manifesting power of caring for my space. When it comes to receiving, we make friends with spaciousness, with emptiness, because a bowl that is full can receive nothing new, but a bowl that is empty, that has space, is an invitation for something else to come in. So we're always practicing being an invitation and working with the space in a way to keep the flow going. So what happens with guilt? All right. Now, guilt, generally speaking, is this idea that you did something wrong. You did something that hurt someone. It's based on an action that you've taken or a way that you were being that affected another person. This is different than shame, which is the belief and the consciousness that you, at the core of your being, are essentially bad and wrong. So this isn't about you are bad and wrong. This is about you did something bad and wrong. So sometimes we do something that, and this is a very simplistic point of view, but you get the idea. So oftentimes we feel guilty because we've done something that hurt another person. Okay. Now, if we're aware of it, if we're practicing being healthy, and we recognize that this has happened, then there are some actions to take, which is you acknowledge what's occurred, you try to make amends, you have empathy, you apologize, so there's certain actions that allows you to rectify the situation if it feels like, okay, I hurt somebody and I want to make amends. Now, the problem lies in when the guilt is something that you can't let go of. You're feeling like it's inside of you and you can't let go of it. So this is the releasing part. Now, what's happening with receiving is the space is now filled up with guilt. And here's the thing I want to offer you to begin to soften guilt and recognize what's really happening with guilt. What's really happening with guilt is when, and you can't let it go. You've done your rectifying, making amends thing, but it's still inside of you. It's when somebody else's needs and feelings are inside your space. And here's the key. and you are making their needs and feelings more important than your own. So instead of your space being available for you and your feelings and your needs and your wants, their space is occupying your space. So, how do we begin to release it? Well, there's practices and awarenesses that we can engage in, but I'm just going to give you one of the most powerful questions that helped me to start to unravel this long-standing guilt and all sorts of disempowering ways that blocked me from receiving my fulfillment. And it is this: whenever you notice yourself feeling guilty after you've taken some healthy actions to make amends and apologize, ask yourself, if it's lingering, if it's stuck, ask yourself this: why are their feelings more important than mine? Just be in that question. And you may not get answers ever or right away. What's much more important is the question, because that illuminates what's happening. The truth is, their feelings are not more important than yours if it's something that you were able to make amends for. Like, your feelings matter too, right? Now, there's a difference between parent and child where we have to relate to their feelings in a different way than, equal relationships that are peer relationships. So these are some general broad brushstrokes around this concept. But the main thing is, ask this question, because receiving is invitation-based, whereas doing is intention-based. And when you ask a question of yourself in life, everything that's related to answering that question starts to be drawn in. Receiving is this way focus. Doing is that way, hunter, pursue focus. As you put your attention on your consciousness and you invite and invite and invite and create that space to receive more, things start to flow in, and you can stop the hard work and shift gears, and all kinds of things become possible. You open the floodgates. So I hope this was helpful. I just wanted to keep it simple for Rise and Receive. The anatomy of guilt is a big topic, and I might just do more on it. But for now, practice being spacious by asking that question if you struggle with guilt. Why are their feelings more important than mine? It will be an invitation that will help things to flow. And if you're feeling full of guilt, that fullness is a sign that you can start to release it by letting it be here. ALI, the 3-step receive method. Be aware, let the feelings be here, breathe, give them lots of space. You can ask, why are their feelings more important than mine? What do I need? After lots of space, invite more better. How does it get even better than this? Or, I am willing to discover the manifesting power of caring for my space. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like, please share. It helps me reach the people that I'm here to serve. Click the red subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And if you'd like your own Receive Oracle cards, go to receivecarddeck.com. Go to Amazon. You can buy your own and start receiving right away. And check out the new and improved Receive community. We are having a lot of fun exploring how to engage and activate the power of the 3-step receive method, ALI. It's simple, it's powerful, and you can connect with that too. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here, Kaya and Lisa, everyone. I so appreciate having you with me, and I'll see you at the next Rise and Receive.